Hi, and welcome to Monitoring the Security of the Endpoint with VMware Carbon Black Cloud. I'm your host, Ryan Fortress, Senior Tech Alliance Engineer at VMware Carbon Black. I'm an Army vet, spent 7 years in the Middle East focusing on threat intelligence and wrote a security operations platform for spyware. Now I help create and strengthen alliances with the best security companies in our industry. So let's start by talking about Carbon Black Cloud, what it is, and then we'll get into how we integrate and work with Sumo Logic. First, Carbon Black Cloud is a collection of products. We are a cloud platform that offers prevention, detect and respond, and identify risk capabilities through next-gen AV, EDR, device control, Kubernetes, and vulnerabilities. The differentiator for us is that we have a single backend, a single agent that is deployed, and multiple products that can be enabled or disabled based on licensing. So you may start out with next-gen AV and add on EDR at any time, no additional software required. We run on server, desktop, laptop, cloud, containers, Windows, Mac, Linux, AWS, GCP, Azure, workload, you name it, we run and protect those endpoints. We do that through 3 phases: identify risk, prevent, and detect and respond. By identifying risk, we are looking at all endpoint activity. That's going to be all file creation, deletion, modification, network activity, registry changes, and so on. We look at all of that information and start to correlate it with the other endpoint activity. We then start to prevent. When an application is doing something malicious, communicating with something malicious, we can terminate that process, deny execution, kill the process, and delete the file, things along those lines. We can also detect and respond. As part of the detection and response, we can move a device to a different policy. Maybe you don't want to execute Excel or PowerShell while that device is under investigation. We can do what's called a live response down to the endpoint, where we can look at what's going on that endpoint in real time and either delete a file, kill a process, grab mem dumps, things along those lines. And through this cycle of identifying risk, preventing, and detecting and responding, we are able to harden that system. Through our integration with Sumo Logic, there's multiple angles to the identifying risk, prevent, and detect and respond. With the cloud and SIM, with the cloud SIM and security analytics platform, we're able to identify risk and provide richer context within dashboards and centralized data across security and IT systems. Through prevention, we can trigger endpoint security policies to mitigate threats detected by other tools. So as we're ingesting our telemetry and other tools as well. So we don't just integrate with Carbon Black Cloud to Sumo Logic, we also integrate vSphere, Workspace ONE, and so on. As we're aggregating all of that data into Sumo Logic security analytics and SIM platforms, we can start to correlate that information and in turn prevent by triggering endpoint security policies. We can also hand off to their cloud SOAR product, which will coordinate and respond actions across tools. Let's look at that a little bit deeper. In the cloud SOAR, to identify risk, we're able to automate endpoint queries to continuously identify and mitigate risk across all endpoints. So we can gather additional enrichment through the cloud SOAR and be able to tell a more cohesive story. We can also prevent by ingesting playbook results back into Carbon Black Cloud and use context to strengthen and prevention policies. And again, detect and respond by customizing pre-built playbooks to address specific use cases or automate additional manual tasks. So how does this work? Let's look at an end-to-end kind of workflow and where the various technologies fit in. We'll start over on the left with the Carbon Black Cloud. Now, this is also going to be Workspace ONE, vSphere, other technologies as well. With Carbon Black Cloud, we are taking our endpoint telemetry, that's alerts, that's going to be threat intelligence, that will be events that generate the alerts. All of that information is pumped into the cloud SIM and security analytics platform, where then it will correlate that data. Based on the correlation of that data being ingested into Sumo Logic SIM and analytics platform, we can then kick off a process in Sumo Logic's Cloud SOAR. So once these bad behaviors are observed, we can gather additional information. So if we look down at the bottom, the enrichment queries, we can go out and gather more information about that device. What operating system is it running? What sensor version is it running? Is live response enabled? Things along those lines. We can go out and get more information about the process. What triggered that process? What children processes were spawned from that process? And we can also go out and gather more information, enrichments on a hash or something from things like recorded future or virus total to enrich our results. And the end goal is to gather this information and present it to a human to make an intelligent decision, which is what we see over on the right. We can open a ticket where we're presenting all this information. We may want to remediate that endpoint. If it meets a certain set of criteria, we may want to automatically isolate that endpoint or kill a process that is doing nefarious activity on the endpoint. Or we may want to block an address or URL in Zscaler to protect on the network as well. So now let's take a look at how this works in Carbon Black Cloud. We start out in our dashboard. This is a general overview of what's going on in this instance of Carbon Black Cloud. We can go into the alerts section where we see the alerts that are generated by our EDR solution and our next-gen AV solution. If we go through, we'll look at one at random here. This is an example of an EDR alert where we can see the alert details. We can see information surrounding this alert, a description of what happened. We can also see the IOC that triggered the alert. Now, we ingest, as far as IOCs go, hashes, domains, IPs, so on, but we also have the option to create custom IOCs, which are queries in our system. So basically what we're looking at here, what this IOC is saying is anytime a process name of PowerShell connects over port 5985 or 5989, then we can generate an alert, which we see here, and we have all the tags included as well. And if we scroll down here, we can see the additional process details as well. Now, all of this is for a EDR alert. Let's look at a next-gen AV alert as well and compare the differences. With next-gen AV, we are also looking at the process behaviors, but instead of correlating that with threat intelligence, we're assigning tags or TTPs to the behavior of those processes. So in this example, we've added these TTPs based on the behavior of how they interact with other files and processes on the system. And we also include MITRE TTPs as well. Now, this can be leveraged in the Sumo SOAR product to then take action based on a specific TTP, based on a specific MITRE TTP. So if you have a series of actions you want to take every time to MITRE T1055, this can be leveraged to then correlate this information, gather enrichment and context from your other solutions, and automatically take action through the Sumo SOAR product. Now, in addition, we can go in here and see that you can ban the hash, you can quarantine the asset or isolate that asset, you can move it to a different policy. All of those are available via API, which are exposed in the SOAR integrations. Now, that covers the EDR and next-gen AV portion. In addition, we also have something called audit and remediation, which is an OS query solution. As an example, we'll search for a pass the hash. And basically what we're doing is taking a SQL-based query. And in this case, we're saying anything that has this registry key, call it vulnerable. Or if it doesn't have it, it's not vulnerable. And we can either run this immediately or on a scheduled daily, monthly, weekly. And what this is going to do is send out this query to all of our hosts in the environment, and they will reply with the answer. And if we look at the response to this, we can actually see that those hosts returned with the answer to that question that was asked. One of our latest features that we've added is vulnerabilities. This was originally just for workload. We've extended this to all devices with Carbon Black installed at this point. So what we're looking at here is the vulnerability information for any OS hosts that have Carbon Black running on them. And we can start to prioritize how bad are those vulnerabilities and start taking action on them. These can also be leveraged in Sumo Logic SOAR solution to begin automating response or alerting and creating tickets for somebody to come in and take action. And the way that looks is gathering our information from the endpoint. And what we can see in the Sumo Logic console is the aggregation of those events and alerts to tell a timeline of everything that's going on. And at this point now, Sumo Logic is analyzing those events, sending it to the SIM, and then also if any correlations occur, then we can start to send that to the cloud SOAR as well. So this is a general overview of the integration between VMware Carbon Black Cloud and Sumo Logic's SIM and security analytics and SOAR and cloud SOAR platform. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Again, I'm Ryan Fortress, Senior Tech Alliance Engineer at VMware Carbon Black, and thank you for watching.